Can I just say that Riel is one of, if not the best character in the show next to Glenn? I mean, no one can top Glenn. Glenn is the star of the show. You remove Glenn, the show ceases to function and just becomes a generic mess. However, Riel, like, she's that character archetype that I don't see enough in anime. Like, we always have your typical tsunderes and your yanderes, but I've always really liked the kind of, like, it's hard to kind of sum up her kind of persona, because she's that dunce character who's super strong, super OP, doesn't know the limits of her own strength, but she has this, like, very kind of sweet personality when she's not attacking you because she just doesn't know her own limits. But usually with that type of personality, there's usually something darker underneath it, something locked away. That's typically what I see anime do. Now, in the case of some, it is just that is their total persona. However, a lot of times you see that is like a locked away persona, so they have this fake one, which is more or less what we can see with Riel from what I can tell, because in this episode, we literally get told, like, you can't trust her. Like, there's no way that you can trust her, implying that, oh, she must have done something crazy in the past, which I didn't think we would get it in this episode, like, some sort of, like, confirmation that her persona that we see that she interacts with the students with is actually her real one, and she actually has, like, another persona that's locked away. But at the end of the episode, when we see her, like, get so jealous, because at the end of the day, it was clear, like, she loves Glenn. She really wants to be around Glenn. If it's, like, a sister-to-brother relationship or just an actual romance, we don't really know exactly how she is, but pretty much she says, Glenn is my everything, which, of course, the students are taking it as, like, a love confession, but they got a couple ways that they could go with it, but you would expect it is complete romance. However, the fact that Sisti and Rumia are literally in Glenn's radar, that he cares, and, like, she even, like, mentions, like, the fact that she's always seen Glenn as a gloomy person, but since coming to school, he's always happy, he's cheerful, he plays with the students, he fights with the students, and that makes her kind of jealousy rage. And it seems like possibly something in the past happened. Maybe Glenn got too close to someone, or just Glenn did something she didn't like with another person, and maybe she killed someone, maybe she did something very bad to Glenn, and ultimately that had some sort of traumatizing effect that then her real persona got locked away and this new one came out, and that could relate to why her name is spelled with an equal sign. Maybe that's part of the whole locking away thing. But it was really interesting to see her snap, because we have heard her voice actor be kind of monotone, but it has this kind of sweet and soft-spoken voice to it, but she yells, and she almost felt like a yandere style character, someone who's like, I'm going to hurt anyone who comes close to you, and then I'm also probably going to hurt you because you cheated on me even though we're not together. Like, that's kind of the persona I felt like when she kind of snapped. And it's going to be really interesting to see if she does ultimately attack Rumia as well as Sisti, because I feel like that's what's going to happen. But it's really nice to see that they did at least show us at the end of the episode, because I thought next week is when we would see something like this, not at the very end of the episode. But the episode overall, like, the beach stuff, I wasn't a huge fan of. I never really am, unless they do something really funny with it, if they twist the tropes and cliches, and they have a bit of that with the whole, like, volleyball match and them using their powers, and also Glenn saying, alright boys, have fun. But for the most part, it was pretty typical and predictable, so it wasn't my cup of tea. But the first half of it was absolutely hilarious. I love how Jezreel comes in and is trying to greet Glenn with a hello by swinging a giant sword at him. Or the fact that when she's doing this magic competition and she can't use shock bolts, she sucks with them, she says, I can use any type of magic. Okay, summons a giant sword and just makes all the students scared. There's a lot of really solid comedy off and on, but I think my favorite part has to be the fact that she's coming in to be Rumia's bodyguard, and then she's like, alright Glenn, I'm gonna protect you, because she wants to protect Glenn, to even her, like, revealing her entire nature to the class and Glenn having to whisper in her ear. There was a lot of really solid comedy in that first half, and the very last quarter of the episode I thought was really interesting, especially with what they pulled with Riel's character overall. But that stuff on the beach itself, like all the kind of like fan servicey shots, that wasn't there for me, but it didn't take anything really away from the episode because it was fairly quick. It wasn't like the entire episode or a majority of the episode was just focused on girls in their bathing suits, so it didn't feel like we took away from the substance of the series, and it did its own thing with it, so I can give it props there, but it wasn't really for me. But overall, this episode is actually really damn good. I really enjoyed just the fact that this series overall, like, the art quality has been fairly consistent. There's rarely been too many dips. It's overall looked very fluid, and when they use magic, especially, like, even with, like, simple bolt spells, it does have this flair. Like, even when Riel was summoning her sword, there's, like, this portal that opened, and how they animated the entire thing, it looks rather good. And a lot of these Magic School Academy series, they usually only have 1 or 2 episodes that has sort of impressive animation, like, oh, that scene looked really good, but the remainder is like, the character designs or whatever, the animation, the movements, everything is whatever. But so far, with this series, Akashic Records, it's been really damn good looking. Like, the weirdest thing that I hear brought up is the uniforms because they are so revealing, but I've always looked at the uniforms as like this kind of like Kill la Kill thing where they're making them so stupid because all these series always have revealing uniforms and it's so stupid, and this series has already mocked cliches, so that's kind of how I looked at those uniforms. So I like the character designs, I think their uniforms are so stupid it's funny, like in Kill la Kill, but that's just me. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, because I thought this was a really great episode. I'm not sure what this next arc is going to be, if this is the arc, or if this was just a 1 or 2 episode off adventure, but it does feel like this is kind of like the Riel arc and kind of what she's going through, and I would expect within 1 to 2 episodes this little mini arc will end, and then something else will begin. But overall, I'm glad we're focusing on her because she is a really fascinating character and just an entertaining one overall. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and what was your favorite moment in the episode and why? Because I think her revealing her identity to the class and Glenn literally having to smack her upside the head and whisper in her ear, that's probably my favorite, but there was a lot of solid moments. But let me know yours, and before you leave, please be sure to like the video to share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.